Well, hello.
Hello.
Well, good afternoon, Ember. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be fun, I hope. Like, a little bit different.
Probably. I mean, we're digging into some esoteric artistic information today, and like the subject of today's video, we're going to splatter knowledge all over the place. Probably.
Hey, I like that segue. It's definitely messy. Definitely messy. I think maybe the whole stream, that's the one thing we can all definitely agree on, that Pollock's style itself is a little messy. Definitely messy. But that's the conversation we wanted to have. And just a little background. First of all, everybody, meet Ember. If you haven't seen her already on my channel, on one of our other, I think we did a mayhem or a weekly what the if about bizarre stuff. And in these YouTube streets, she comes into the chat occasionally, and we go over. We go to many different streamers together. We see each other in the chat all the time. But Ember's channel is listed below, and they also do many topics. If you had to explain your channel, and I know for me this is difficult, so I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. I mean, how would you describe your channel for them?
Advocating for human rights plus, because there's so much stuff that affects human rights. Like we've got political stuff, which is often dealing with elements of religion and conspiracy theories impacting us from one side, and we've got misinformation or just plain ignorance dealing with like disability rights, and there's so much. So I do history, science, philosophy, everything, but the main focus is towards promoting human rights.
Exactly. So it's more the humanistic angle of almost all the topics, I think. I mean, that's basically when I'm over there watching your stuff. It's great conversations on the effects that this has on people, how it matters to people, what people can do about it, and just the sharing of stories. And what I really enjoy about your channel is you're not afraid of a conversation, which I love. I'm collecting creators like that. Have you noticed? Like, I love to actually have a conversation about almost anything, and I think you do something very similar. And Dave, if you're listening, I see you in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Well, Dave also has a channel that most people would think is like mostly about philosophy, but also about getting rid of misinformation, about talking about, humanistic rights and the human rights and equality and just how things affect people. And also movies and maybe even art after something like this, Dave,
Oh, for
but
sure.
not afraid
So
to
much of
have
the
the conversations, It's great.
so
I'm
much of
sorry.
this stuff is cross-related. Like
Mm-hmm.
art, for example. A lot of people go, "Oh, that's rich people stuff," but it does impact human rights insofar as it's a reflection of our culture, in the way it
Mm-hmm.
shapes our culture, in the way that some people have access to it and other people don't. Like a lot of art that we see today is some legitimate criticism is that it's often very entitled rich people who make a mess and think that is amazing because they're a
Mm-hmm.
rich person who did it, and
Exactly.
that's a problem
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, in it a little history for art on my channel. We have done many of the in the What the F series, which is kind of like talking about bizarre things that became popular or items that hit the news and all that are just unbelievable or whatever. The things that make you scratch your head. And one of them was the taping of a banana to the wall with duct tape that sold for millions of dollars. It was considered art. And yes, that was a whole conversation that we had on our show. There also was an artist who put his poop in a can and sold it. It sold for millions of dollars. And when you opened the can expecting poop, there was another can inside of it with more poop. Like, and these sold for millions of dollars. There was an equal rights display. Actually, it was women's suffrage in more on the women's rights thing, where I kid you not, a woman put a ball of wool in her regions and knitted in public in the art gallery during her menses is an art statement. Now,
Okay.
okay, yeah, right. That's
I mean,
it. That's
I
my
can kind
answer
of get
too.
that
Like,
one.
okay, I do get it. I do get it, but there was a whole big thing. Like, of course, that the art gallery got picketed. Of course, they tried to shut everything down. There was plenty to say. But the controversy of art in general is just, it's a conversation no matter what. Okay. I mean, we can
Mhm.
even, you can even take some of the classics like Monet, or let's talk about, Van Gogh. Okay. These are names everybody pretty much has been exposed to, right? They all have stories behind them, right? They all have, like with Van Gogh, or with his passion for a woman that was just tumultuous and not really good for him, and the taking off of his ear and selling it, and the anguish that is in many of his paintings, which brings up the mental health issue part of it, and just how you express that, and how the stories actually, well before you see the art, are selling it to you. I mean, can we agree on that a little bit, like that the story behind an artist, or the story behind how something was created, or a particular piece in general, might be bigger than the piece itself? Like, it,
It
it's one.
might be
It might
sometimes. I
be.
think it's more of a hand in hand kind of thing.
Hmm.
Sometimes the story leads, sometimes the story follows, but they enhance each other. And people
Hmm.
still make use of that today. Like, you'll walk into a flea market and you'll find a vase or something. And the owner will be
Hmm.
like, "Oh, yes, that was my grandmother. She had it from 1942 because her husband brought it back from the war," and yada, 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 yada. Like,
Right.
people think the story adds to the value, but it adds to the sentimental value, not necessarily the cash value.
It actually, like, the story has to, the thing about the selling of the story, it has to actually connect to you in some way. Like, you've got to carry the story personally
And
with
that
piece
is what
for it
makes
to
it
mean anything.
art.
That's what
right?
makes it art. Because how else do you sell a banana taped to a wall? Like, how is that even possible in this? And this was recent. This is not like, like, 50 years ago when people, like, maybe there was a blip on the map and people were actually crazy for 15 minutes. No, it wasn't like that. Like, this is now, where we're all crazy now all the time.
Well,
like,
it's true. But I mean, that's the main thing. Part of it is the controversy, the outrageousness of someone taping a banana to the wall and calling it art. But also because so many people didn't understand. And in a way, it was almost a culture-wide performance piece because of that. Because so many people just pointed at the thing and said, I don't understand, therefore bad, instead of learning why it was done.
Like the woman showing up every day during her exhibit to knit, just sat in the chair and knitted with the yarn coming from her nethers, during her menses, so to speak, on, what women go through childhood, the whole statement. It just became a talking piece. Doesn't matter what she did anymore or how they felt. It just was the controversy of it just kept, making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Why we're talking about it right now is the story behind it and what happened behind it, not necessarily how it moved me seeing her sit in that chair. That would have done nothing for me, But being a woman, that would have been it, because it's more familiar with me. It wouldn't have meant anything. Maybe a couple of gentlemen watching it may have got like a more deeper reaction to it than I would have. I don't know. But it was the story that propelled it into like my inbox, into the news media, into conversations all over the internet, just that whole part of it. Just the generation. A great example of that, if you'll forgive me for the segue, is Bansky. It's not like not knowing who Bansky is and then seeing his what some would call graffiti art, I just call art, like it doesn't matter where he put it, on abandoned buildings and walls and this and that. His statement pieces of message, right, was not the story behind who the heck is Bansky helped propel that from just like a great piece of wall art you see to, just actually help propel the whole movement and have helped make Bansky as huge as he was. I use that as an example because that was something more recently that we watched unfold when people just uncovered who he was and just kind of threw the whole thing out there. I liked it better when we didn't know who he was.
I mean, I still don't, because I deliberately haven't looked. Like,
yeah,
spoilers.
right? Yeah, like I didn't, like everybody was like, why didn't you do, like, Claire, you always talk about him, we've done shows on him, why didn't you, like, that was big news thing. And I'm like, nope, because I totally don't like the guy who did. I totally don't like what happened. I don't want to come out here angry and say, how dare you, which I'm saying right now, like, how dare you, dude? Like, talk about like ruining a whole big thing. Like, but still, when I see his art, it still means what it means to me. Like, he still has the ability to make that art a message, like, and he still does it. And I'm really happy about it, that it'll still mean what it means, at least for me. Hey, Record, thanks for joining us. And Jin, thank you. Good gropes to everybody in the chat, for those coming in. But let's talk a little bit of how this conversation happened, because both of us like to talk so much. It came up, I don't even know what stream it was and how he came up. But Jackson Pollock came up in the whole controversy on whether his actual technique is chaos or control. And I think I say something like, well, that's a whole big conversation I want to have with somebody. And you raised your, like, if I could see you, which I couldn't because we're both avatars and it was on YouTube, and I could see you jumping up with your hand. You were like, I'll take that. Like, I'll do that. I'll have that conversation. I'm like, good. Because
I think it was one of the 48 Laws shows, and somehow or another, the difference between actual order and perceived order and actual chaos and perceived chaos came up, something along those lines. And
that sounds like something Ricker and I would talk about. Yeah.
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 But I happened to mention in the side chat that when talking to young Earth creationists, they say, well, life is clearly designed, which is proof of their favorite mythology and yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing is they're taking something that's naturally occurring and perceiving it as ordered, and therefore inferring there's a designer. By
Right.
the
The
same
great.
token, Jackson
Mm,
Pollock looks disordered, but does have a designer. So it's kind of a juxtaposition sort of situation.
true, because well, obviously, Jackson Pollock is a man in control of his emotions. We can agree on that, right? A man, an
To an
artist,
extent.
to an extent. Well, he is. We have to put it out there. The big thing with Jackson Pollock, and part of the controversy, is he is an admitted alcoholic with major depressive disorder, and just like was like, yeah, he had his own issues. There were mental health things there. There was some addiction things there, which
Well,
really
that kind of
add to the
goes.
controversy. And people actually use, like, I'm kind of about using that as part of the argument of why it's chaos, but you have to, like, it has to be part of it
Well,
because
no,
it's the
you
artist
don't
himself.
have to actually, because a lot of great artists had those same problems, or at least very similar problems. Hemingway was a drunk and a melancholic, as they called it at the time. Like he could not
Hmm.
write one word without a bottle of whiskey in his hand.
Oh, but come on, have
Van
you ever
Gogh, as you
tried to
mentioned
actually
earlier,
read as classic as Hemingway is? Okay, and I'm gonna hear about this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And I love the arts and I love literature. But you try to read Hemingway, it's quite obvious he was drunk. Like, seriously.
maybe that's why people liked him so much. They were like, this drunken fucker. What's he writing
like
this time?
I love to do reading out loud. Never, ever, ever, ever will you hear me trying to read Hemingway out loud. Like, it's obvious. It's obvious the man was like, it changed. It was fluid. Not that I don't love it. Not that it doesn't deserve to be a classic, because it does. He talked about things people weren't talking about. He expressed emotion, made people feel things that were uncomfortable at the time. He great. Absolutely great. I'm not knocking him, but let's just say the obvious. He waxed and waned all over those pages with like how many drinks he may have had in a day. Because like it does get rough. It gets rough.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah.
question. But the
Well,
point
this.
is, a
Mhm,
lot of great artists had very similar problems in the same
mhm,
clusters of categories, and yet
right.
nobody infers that impugns their art. In fact, in some cases, it's held up as an example of what made their art so great. Like would Van Gogh have been Van Gogh without his
Mhm.
suffering and his mental struggles? A
Would it
lot
be
of
so
people
great? Yeah. Would the blue
yeah, a lot
period
of
be so
people
blue?
think that
Yeah.
some kind of pain like that is necessary to create that top level of engaging creation.
That's a valid point. Some of the most popular, or I don't want to say popular. I like to use the word resonating. Uh, Art, it resonates, whether it be music, literature, or actually, art in general, like with medium. Uh, the things that resonate with us are the ones that make us feel. Unfortunately, in human nature itself, pain is something we all recognize. Pain is something, you know, yes, record. I'm going to bring that up for you so you feel better. Eminem and all his drugs. Yes. Okay. Yes, even in music. Like, but can you agree? Like when it's strong emotion, it doesn't necessarily have to be pain, but a lot of times it is pain and suffering or the things that resonates with
It's
us on a human
relatable.
level. It's relatable. It makes us connect. Okay.
Mhm.
And in order to call something art or artistic or creative, that connection has to be there. Like we feel it individually. Sometimes we feel it in mass, like as a group. But you're right. The only reason I bring it up with Pollock is Pollock brings it up himself. The reason the controversy
He
still
mentions
to
it,
this
yeah.
day in 2026 exists between chaos and control is because Pollock says it himself over and over again. He goes from saying it's a mastery of technique, like I do it, like I have total control over everything, to when I'm walking around the floor, because his canvases were on the floor, and splatting that plate, I'm feeling this and I'm doing that and I'm letting all of that like out, like, which was one of my points. Like, is it a man just having, in his feels throwing stuff around, or is he actually there, like, controlling where the ebb and flow of the paint goes, which is possible. I agree. That's part of the argument. Like his technique, he is holding the brush. It is due to the artist, you know. The other part of the argument, oh, I used all these other implements instead of just a brush. Yeah, he was also very poor and he was creative and used whatever he had on hand. That's not that unusual. It's not necessarily part of as a design technique, as a mode of need, or a mode of what you have available. There's so much more you can put in it. But the point that I'm trying to make is Pollock himself adds to the controversy with all his different statements. When the story starts getting bigger and he gets somebody representing him in the early days of his art, when it's getting promoted, he goes with the story that people are saying. Like, he just builds on it step by step, and you can actually watch it happen through history. So he's actually part of the reason the chaos part of the argument exists. He would just get his feels out. He would just be having one or two too many and decide, to do it that way. Either way, his paintings, we have to admit, make people feel something. You stand in front of a Pollock, you can decide to feel like my kid could do this, or it makes you feel something that resonates with you personally. My point is, does it actually represent what Pollock wanted it to represent? I'm not so sure.
I don't think art ever represents what the creator actually intended. If it connects with an audience, sometimes they get a larger portion of what they wanted to get into the piece. Like Van Gogh's Starry Night, for example, is so famous because everyone who looks at it has the same resonant experience. This is what the night sky looks like inside our dreams rather than what we see with our eyes. And that may be what he intended, but we don't know. But other artists, sometimes the intent is to mask the intent, like Picasso in his Cubist phase.
Exactly.
It was all, this is one interpretation in a modernist sense. But what do you see? Like, the point is to obscure what he's trying to show you and make you figure it out.
I'm glad you used that word obscure, because yes, it's true. Like, is that all part of like the process it did? You take another big artist like you mentioned Picasso. I could bring in Salvador Dali, like, as the counterpoint to that. Who can paint? Can we admit that his painting, he can make something actually pop off the page as real? Like, if he does the human form, you feel like you can touch it. He has technique that is like, a vase is a vase, but then he twists it and does all this stuff that's very surreal and very unrealistic.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean,
like he's doing like Picasso. Picasso tries to make it like, so you recognize it, but you don't recognize it. And then Dali takes something that is completely recognized. He goes out of his way to make it very realistic, like the tigers flying in the air and the images of his wife, and like they're very, very realistic. Like, exactly what they are. You can almost touch them. They're so realistic in his technique. And then he twists the whole scene up to be something fantastical out of your imagination that couldn't possibly exist, like melting clocks, or like, like, or let's see, emotional impact. I don't know. I should have pulled it up. I didn't know I was going to go here, but there is a piece that he did. The tangent. Here we go. Is anybody that knows Salvador Dali, look up tuna fishing. Look up the graphic art of that piece, tuna fishing, where it's so realistic. Like, like, I get a little emotionally attached to art like that. When I first saw tuna fishing, it almost made me rich. Like, I got sick to my stomach. That's how realistic the scene was, like, to me. And it's this technique of being able, like, I'm amazed at artists who can actually paint something so realistic, like a scene that you actually can picture yourself there, like you could touch it, like they're real. That's fantastical technique. Like, I could never do anything like that. But then there's Pollock, who just, well, it's lines and squiggles and paint. There's no image. There's nothing we can categorize as, air quotes here, people, realistic, right? Like an image that you can attach onto, that your brain says, oh, that's a vase. Oh, that's a piece of fruit. Oh, that's a man walking through a door. The chaos part of the argument is almost centered on how emotional the pieces are, how we have to reflect them to how we feel when we look at them, and that's it. Like nobody's standing there going, that little white drip of paint over there looks like, you know, the Virgin Mary. Like no, nobody's saying that when they look at. Well, I shouldn't talk for the world, but I don't believe anybody's saying that when
I
looking
mean,
at
it
a Jackson
varies.
Pollock.
There's some pieces that are famous because they look kind of like a thing, or they evoke
Mm-hmm.
a sense of a thing, its essence, rather than some kind of accuracy to it. But it's no question that his first few pieces that made him really famous were they look kind of like a toddler finger painted on a canvas, got mad,
Mm-hmm.
threw it on the floor, and spattered paint over it, and it
Ex-
looks like a hissy fit, you know.
Exactly. It looks like I think that's what I said when we were going to talk about the artist. It looks like he just had a bad day, right? Like Jackson Pollock got famous, like or actually the people representing. I always say this about artists: the people representing the artist got famous and got rich, representing him having a bad day. Like, because the other thing that really gets me in the art world is how the artists never really end up the rich ones. It's kind of like music too, with the music industry. And sometimes the artist doesn't end up rich. Everybody that works for the artist, everybody that promoted the artist, the industry itself gets rich. And, the artists are out over here not, in some
Hmm.
cases. Not all. There's plenty of rich artists out there. I get it. But for Pollock, I don't think like he got like that well off. Well, in the beginning, more people got rich off of him than he did, like for sure. And that like there's that's what the selling the story part comes in. But you're right. It's more that a whole argument with my kid could be that. How many people go to the Museum of Modern Art and look at some of these pieces and go, I've got something that looks just like that on the refrigerator at home. Like my 4-year-old did that yesterday. you know? But when you see them in mass or as big as they are, like I think at this point, do you mind, Ember, if I bring up actual how Pollock does that? If we watch him for a second and
Yeah, it
just
might be
let
useful
everybody
for.
see. I think it might help them. Hopefully, they won't take this part down. If let me just put a disclaimer: if this part of the video disappears later, well, you know why. It was very short. I'm just going to play a little bit of it. But this is the man himself doing his thing. Okay. Consistently, and that was his point. like in
The gloves.
nature,
The gloves need
even
that.
in nature
The
design.
aldabras,
You know,
it's more flat where they live,
he
right?
did a
Right,
study in
it's kind of
2020. There was a related study just
coral
last year.
atoll, which is just a
where-
The video
elevated,
seems to have kicked over
island
to a
made
different
of
video.
dead sea life
Oh
and
shoot!
corals.
Oh,
Go
thank
ahead.
you.
That's one of our
I need.
like most
oh yes, look,
prominent
we're gonna look at
comments. Where are you
reptiles.
gonna
That's
add
Keenan. And he wrestles alligators for a living there on YouTube.
Just for fun and profit.
Yeah,
Or
just for
prob-
fun and profit.
Probably.
But he
yeah,
doesn't
there's-
sell any alligator art. Like, yeah.
Alas. But there's so many different factors that go into it. Like you saw, he chooses many different techniques. He's got a direct
He
pour
does.
method. He's got, sprinkling from his hand to control it in a
Mhm.
certain way, or he'll use a brush to control it in a different way. One of the remarkable things about him is the choice to use household paint cans instead of artist paint. And he didn't always do this, and he doesn't do it on every piece. There's several
Right.
throughout the entire span of his career where at least some of the painting is painted traditionally.
True. I think what Taylor was trying to prove is that Pollock's his physique, the way his body and the way he controls his body is the fractal part of it. Because when they did a related study in 2025 and they brought adults and children to try to do his drip fest technique, like that they call it, that the fractal signatures of the children's work more closely resembled Pollock's than the adults did. Because of and they linked that into Pollock's own admission that he was more limber and all because he was well lubed, so to speak, with his drinking and closer to the image. And when we'd get down low, his distinctive fractal signatures, they emerged in a very specific way. And Taylor tried to use this as a repeatable physical technique that was unique only to him, which came up in how they try to decide what is a forgery of Pollock, because there are so many out there.
Yeah.
And they're
the
hard to
person really
distinguish.
can't tell.
How do you distinguish accident and chance in an authentic Pollock? Like even ones that like have documented history, like the matter sections, like he gave to his friend, his friend, and it's documented that he gave it to him and when he did, and it was passed down and everything, and yet it's been repeated by somebody else, and you're trying to decide which is the real one and which isn't, and what parts of this air quotes again technique of Pollock's are more than just the dripping of paint. I mean, nobody can take away the emotion and what he's doing and the creativity of what he's doing. That's a given. It's definitely just him, the artist, right? I would never try to take that away from the artist. I would never say it's not art. You know what I mean? But I think the argument lies more on whether it's technique, how insulted somebody gets when you say, well, it might not art. Some people take it too far and say that it's not art at all. I would never, ever, ever do that. That's not even information I would like put out there. That's not even part of the debate, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of whether it's not art. It's a lot of people, because of that, the science that you just mentioned shows that, little children really can come closer to reproducing it than adults can. So it is almost in some ways like a child just throwing a tantrum or whatever. And so they go, a little kid really can do this. So therefore call it whatever you like. It's not worth millions of dollars. And that's another facet of what built Pollock's fame. Is one of his early pieces. I think it was composition number 2, perhaps. Forgive me, I don't know all of them. Is it number 3?
Was it number 3? I can pull that one up. Hold on. That's one I saved, actually. You're reading my mind. Was it 2 or 3? I don't know. I gotta find it.
I think it was 2 off the top of my head, but again, so many of them are just numbered that it's hard to keep them straight.
But I can bring up this one's pretty popular, so I don't know if this is the one. This is number 3. I can look for number 2 for you though. Let's see. Is it called composition number 2? Or
A
is it
lot of
just
them
called
are,
number
but some
two?
of them are just plain numbered. The only reason it matters isn't because of the specific look of the damn thing. It's that an Australian museum bought it at auction for $1.7 million dues, which made Pollock
Uh-huh.
far and away the highest dollar value American artist ever. And all the other American wannabe artists were really pissed about that.
Yeah, this one is composition number two, the pouring number two that they call. They use this one and they use this one most like in the research a lot just because of the drip. I got them both up there.
Yeah, like this one, it's fascinating because you can see the underlying layers, the greens and the blues are brush strokes. The yellows are made with a brush, but it's very clear not the same way. It's more like angrily hitting the thing with a brush that's overloaded with paint. And I don't even know what's going on with the reds, but when we get to the blacks, not the underlying black, but the over the top blacks, it
Right.
looks like the painting was taken off the easel, thrown on the floor, and just splattered like a toddler had a fit, you know?
And yet some of the lines do look like he was emphasizing. Like if you look down in the bottom corner there where it kind of like, okay, I'm going to get like, everybody's going to know how weird I am now. Kind of looks like he's like an eye. And then it looks like almost there's brush strokes there to try to emphasize that, yeah, maybe that is an eye, right? Like eyelashes, like the under, you see what I mean by modern art? Like probably nobody else here sees an eye. I see the start of an eyeball there. Like, you know, and then I see instead of just drips in the black, I see actually, like you said, some emphasis with brush strokes to create image there on purpose, not just chaotic, you know, dripping of paint, like wherever it goes, it goes. But nobody could deny that the spatters, I mean, listen, it's physics, it's science. I'm not going to get into a big technical argument about it, but when paint is coming off of a brush or any implement in general, there are specific scientific laws of gravity and, you know, things and velocity and all this other stuff, the big technical terms that I'm not going to get into because my brain isn't really that technical. I just know this exists, that he doesn't have control over. Okay. You know, accidental twitch of his hand. He can utilize it, but he doesn't have control over it. So that's where the control part of his argument kind of like gets to me. There's only so much control in a dripping brush that you can actually emit.
Well, that's sort of the point. That is his technique, is there's elements under his control and elements that are somewhat random. And both of these are critical in producing the pieces that he produces. You can't do it with just one or the other.
This is true. This is absolutely true. Now I'm going to change the background to a picture where famously it's hard to say there is any control. Let me just bring this one down. Okay. Where's the control? like there's no, like this is where the argument starts, because we've got pictures where he's actually doing more, and then we've got just layer and layer and layer of drip. Like this one gets used a lot. I don't even know what the name of this one actually. It's red, black, and orange. Maybe that's even the name of it, because he has another one that's red, blue, and silver that he just calls like red, blue, and silver. But it just brings up that I think both sides of this discussion, debate, whatever's out there in the art world right now are valid. It's both. Like, in my humble opinion, it's both. It's both all the time. Like, and what really makes it unique is that the story behind it, and it was so brand new at the time, you know, the audacity of taking a bunch of drips and selling it as art, like, hit the market and hit the art world. And there were so many people that were moved by it and fascinated by it and thought that he was just, you know, they made it. It only takes a small group of people to feel something when they see it, to start pushing it, to make it like a thing. And the way
in his case, a very small group.
A very small group, but a very prominent group too. Like, this hit newspapers, this became talked about, this became the new secret thing to go see. Like, this, it got pushed generally because somebody just felt something when they saw it and thought it was absolutely, and he went with it. He's very clever, very, it's most of, like, you know, he liked the attention. He I don't think he set out to be a big famous artist, like, you know,
Oh no, he did.
he did, like, he used it then, you're saying, like, to, like, the
Oh
story.
yeah. See, the
Yeah.
giveaway is that even his earliest works, he signed them. They were intentionally produced to be provocative in specifically this way. He went to an
There you go.
actual art school. He learned from an accomplished art teacher. Like, he did all of this intentionally. And friends from where, I forget exactly where he grew up, Colorado or Wyoming or something like that. When
Yeah.
he turned 18, he said he was going east to become an artist. Like, that was all he wanted to do.
And he spent most of his life doing it and living off the means of it. So I got to give him credit for that. Well, that's what I mean about the intent there. Was it actually technique and creativity? It definitely was goal oriented motivation. Like, definitely, you know. And that's why I think when the stories and I think he kept, because most of the argument about chaos and control comes directly from statements Pollock makes himself all the way from the beginning when he's interviewed about his art or he's asked about his art. I think he kept that story going as a way to keep the momentum there on the movement for his art. And I think it's very clever. I think most artists really need to do it. If somebody starts talking about your art in a certain way, don't tamp it down, let it go, explore it, get it out there, because, like, having his name out there really pushed it. And the truth of how that story of that debate actually helped push his art is still true to today. They just did testing on it in 2025, like last year.
People are still fascinated because it's still curious. There's so much story and there's so much curiosity.
In 2002, the big forgeries, they found like 22 in a big art gallery that were not Pollock's, that were being listed as Pollock's from a big thing. Mm-hmm. And there was big controversy around it because, again, they were like, well, how do you prove it? How do you prove it's a Pollock? Like, is the technique, if a child can do the technique, how do you prove it's a Pollock?
Weirdly, you need a psychologist or possibly a psychiatrist. No, but truly,
or both. Yes, get both in there. I think, you know, like, definitely. Yes,
because
definitely.
Pollock's goal is, he was very heavily influenced by Carl Jung, and part of what he developed, especially that action painting thing where he dances around the canvas and produces stuff like this, or even steps right on the canvas, that sort of thing. The goal was to let his subconscious control where the brush goes and what happens. That's why we end up with such more chaotic pieces than previously, because the goal is to express emotion and let the subconscious drive to get his conscious mind the hell out of the way. And to whatever degree he was successful, it would take a person who's able to read the subconscious, I suppose. And while psychologists aren't really great at that, they're better at it than, say, art history. So they'd have to look at it and analyze, is this Pollock's subconscious's work, or is it someone trying consciously, not subconsciously, to resemble Pollock's subconscious?
Oh, yeah. Just crazy. Like, how many pieces were out there? I mean, it was kind of like totally just the number of forgeries and how much people are trying to forge it. It was incredible. In just the whole actual argument getting big, not argument, but it's not even a debate. It's more like a discussion like we're having. I mean, yeah, there's some physicists and psychologists and art critics that are all involved very strongly. Art critics themselves have great debate in the industry on whether or not it's, you know, a true technique, you know, or just the, you know, his expression, you know. But then there's the statement of, if anything an artist does to express themselves, is it not the artist's technique?
Right.
So,
in a way, the fact
art critics
discuss it at all, like the fact they are discussing your work, means it has been elevated to worthy of discourse in their perspective.
And exactly. And just today, like even just having this conversation today is just like, it just, my main thing when I was researching it, because I'm just that kind of nerd, Amber, like the people that come to my talk. So I'll talk about anything. And I love to research. Like I like to look at like I looked at what Taylor did. I looked at like, why is he saying the certain things he's saying, you know, looked at all the statements that Pollock had put out. That's the first thing I did, is like, if I have to talk about an artist's work, the first thing I researched is, well, like I'm asking the internet, what exactly has Pollock said about his own art throughout the years? give it all to me. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And then I'm looking at how many times people have had scientific discussion on this, which blew my mind, about the fractals and stuff. And that's why you'll see a link in my description, everybody, of like 19 different resources of facts and surveys and like studies that were done and discussions and debates that were had, and Pollock's statements. It's all down there. It's all down there because it's way too much to talk about like in 1 hour, you know, like where all some of the things I might be saying or some of the things Ember might be saying are coming from. It's just so still it's so still a topic that can come up randomly at any time. It's still so controversial, so to speak. Whether it's control or whether it's chaos, and I say it's both. And I might even go so far as to say it's both by design of the artist himself.
Yeah, it's not a matter of control or chaos. He's doing something else entirely that involves a little bit of both.
Yeah. To finish the statement, I think it's by design of him, because he knew that that's what was going to sell his art. Keeping that controversy alive was going to sell his art. And he's right, because he did. Like, if they could have settled that fact years ago when it first came out, if he had said, no, this is what I do, and, you know, and didn't, like, keep laying certain statements out to bait the controversy to continue, which I do believe he did, like, based on how certain interviews happened and certain things he would say. One day he would be all acting upset that people were even saying that it wasn't a technique, or that it was just him just throwing, like having a bad, like we say, even I say, sometimes it looks like he just had a bad day, you know. And I think Record mentioned when they were playing the video, they chose the wrong music they should have been playing, had a bad day. The music as he's doing his art. And, you know, you read my mind sometimes, Record. It's getting scary. It's getting scary. I'm glad, like, you know, we do things together so people don't think we're the same person. Because he also said that, like, you know, children are just really drunk adults. Like, what are you talking about, Claire? Like, come on.
In a way,
stop.
Kind of true.
It is.
There's something to that.
It's what surprised me is because as I was talking about the children in the study, that was in my head, and he goes and types it out there. It's just wrong. It's just wrong on so many levels. I can't even tell you. Like, it's just like, but just making great stories about art helps promote the art. In looking at all the interviews that I did that Pollock did, I could see him. Like I said, one day he's all upset that, like, he's like, how could you attack his creativity this way? Like, he's the artist, he knows what he's doing, this is intentional, blah blah. And the next day he's like, yeah, well, you know, you can't really control paint coming off a brush. Like, he'll just say something like that, like, and put it out there to make it, to keep that controversy growing, which I thought fascinating. Yeah, he's very clever.
People.
Yeah, but like you said, his intent was to get there in any means necessary is just something that you have to do in keeping those stories alive, you know.
Yeah, and there is no question there's a lot of luck involved. Like, there's so many facets to this. Like, for one thing, a lot of people don't realize the CIA was involved.
Yeah, they were too. Can you tell them a little about that? You know, I don't have very much on that. Do you have more on that?
Okay, so there's a whole lot of things that contribute to this. Most people are familiar with the name Guggenheim. Now, how Guggenheim happened is because they were a Jewish family from Europe, and as World War II was starting to happen, well, no, I have to go back a little bit further. One of the Guggenheims died on the Titanic, and so his daughter inherited his fortune. Now, fast forward a little bit to pre-World War II, as persecution of Jews and deviants and you know all the undesirables. Well, undesirables, like we were talking about earlier, almost always include artists. Now the Guggenheims were already collecting art, right? Both Peggy and her uncle, who lived in New York, she was in Italy, and so she started like using her fortune to preserve Jewish art and other people's art from the fascists and from the Nazis, and she was sending a bunch of it to New York. And then once the war actually got going, she was also in New York. She was like, I'm staying the hell out of this war zone. So her uncle had, you know, the Guggenheim Museum. She had famously, she got national headlines, international headlines ages before, because she had such a vast art collection, but she didn't want to keep it to herself. She declared herself to be a museum. And so she started opening galleries all around New York City. And because of a bunch of different factors, you know, the rise of fashion photography and a few other things, TLDR, a lot of photographers were doing fashion photography in her galleries because they were clean spaces with art in the background, but it wasn't too distracting because a lot of it was modern art kind of stuff. Okay, so that set the stage with that. Jackson Pollock manages to get some of his pieces into one of Guggenheim's galleries, and they end up inside Vogue magazine. And that's where the controversy starts, is people are like, what about this background piece? It's so weird. What's going on with that? And so people want to learn more, and it starts the controversy. Well, at the same time, this is the post-war now, and the CIA is getting real worried about the Soviets. And the Soviets, well, our propaganda is that American culture is vibrant and full of life and full of color and expression and creativity. And Soviet culture is brutalist. It's just concrete. Like there's nothing there but like harsh shapes and dark lines and it's all gray all the time.
Cold War.
And so since Pollock was starting on just beginning his rise to extreme fame, they were like, let's take this guy and we're going to push him. And they did, right? They did it gently, and they did it for propaganda reasons. Pollock himself never knew they were involved at all. But a whisper in the ear here and a little chat with someone there, and suddenly a bunch of his pieces are in the Museum of Modern Art. And they're being sent off on exhibitions around the world to showcase how great American postmodern artistry is. And he's become the poster boy of how great American culture is because of how anti-Soviet he is.
And how creativity is still going, how strong, like, you know, the creative mind. Yeah, I get it. You know, nothing like promoting a drinking, smoking drip artist is Americanism during the Cold War. But it happened. It's fact. It's absolutely a fact.
It does kind of fit.
Yeah. It definitely does. It definitely does fit. And it's also just a great American story about how you can have a belief in what you want to be and how you can do it. Like he definitely accomplished his goal.
Yeah, in a way that's true, because I mean, remember, Catcher in the Rye didn't come out until the mid late 50s, something like that. And that was about how the American dream was starting to fade, how it was no longer true that you could set out to become something and just do it. Like you had to have connections, you had to have help, you had to have dirty dealings behind the scenes, whatever the case may be. You couldn't just decide you're going to be an astronaut and go be an astronaut. That dream was no longer available. And Catcher in the Rye was about the fact that the situation was getting worse. And within a couple of generations, it reached the point where we're nearly in stratified social classes now, right? Like the ultra rich are incapable of the economic mobility necessary to ever become poor. They cannot do it, even if they wanted to.
Even if they gave it all away, they can't do it. They just can't do it. And you know, and that's true. And yet there's still the strive that we have to, in order for this actual system to continue to survive, we have to believe in that bare minimal American dream that anyone can do it. Anyone. Well, I don't even want to turn this into a political stream, but we see it every day. We see it every day in politics. resonating with the average man saying, I'm just like you, while you've got billionaires backing you to push
Oh goodness.
agendas. It's like,
the
bitch.
lie of the average man, for one thing. Like, so many people are convinced there is a normal and they're it, you know?
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, like a whole nother dozen, or like the rest of my YouTube career conversations. Like that could be definitely. But yeah.
But as to today, on the subject of Pollock, you know, we're trying to occasionally stay on topic here.
Occasionally.
That kind of reaction, that kind of what the fuck my toddler could do this. I have to admit, I felt that reaction. That's what drew me in to try to. Okay, so I'm the kind of person where when I see something I don't understand, I don't react with hostility. I react with curiosity. Like when Macy Gray got famous, I was like, this bitch can't sing. Why is she on the radio all the time?
She's so, like, it's offensive how much she can't sing. But yeah, I mean, it's some of the most out of tune off. Never mind, I can't go there. But well, I know I know some of you may understand when I say, like, we all have that question, like, how, why, what, why,
exactly,
why, like, who had a bad day? Who's trying to F you the world here with this? Like, what's going on? What's the story behind this? The curiosity. You're right. It's like, there's got to be more to this. Like, there has to be more.
Yeah,
to
so
this.
I looked in. I mean, I went out of my way. I called in a whole bunch of favors because I do a lot of work with nonprofit organizations in my area, and a lot of them are theaters. And this one theater that I'd been doing some art and photography for a few years decided to do a concert series, and they started bringing in performers who were doing national tours anyway, and just like having them add one stop in their little small town at their center, which was a converted church. So it was kind of amazing. The sanctuary becomes the stage, and like it's a whole thing. It's a great setting. But they brought Macy Gray, and so I called in my favors with them. I'm like, I want to be the official photographer for this. And they're like, well, why? Do you really like her work? I'm like, no, I fucking hate her. And they're like, well, why then? I'm like, because I want to know why. Why do so many people love her? What am I missing?
Right.
And
like, there's got to be something to it. Like, what, you want to be open. Exactly. You got to be open to the other side to understand your own position about something, especially when you feel strongly, or, you're just like so on one side about something. You've got to be open to the rest of it, even if it's just to secure how you're feeling about it, and making sure you're not missing anything, and giving due credit where credit is due. Like, that's.
Oh, I just assume I'm missing something, and I usually am.
Exactly. That's a sign of intelligence. Curiosity. Exactly. This is a sign of intelligence, not blocking yourself off from all the extra, like, information there. That makes the argument more intelligent. Welcome, Petite Flowers. This is a great comment. I am so glad I actually found this stream, even if I missed a bunch, because my 3 a.m. brain was like, Jackson Pollock, what will that conversation be about? Pollock and a whole bunch of other stuff. Because it's like, it's hard, but mostly
is a Pollock of conversations about Pollock.
It definitely shows the actual controversy of chaos versus control, because all the, definitely it's just about the personalization of art in general, even, but mostly about Pollock's, the controversy of his art, in whether or not he intended it as a true technique, or if it was chaotic, or if it was control. And also his actually statements on it, pushing it forward, and whether it was just the moment, like you said, having the CIA involved, pushing it. I mean, that was a big help. So now there's the controversy of, if they didn't put those pieces in the museum, would he be as big as he is? But I don't want to take that away from him.
I mean, he might still be somewhat big.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You can expose art to millions and millions of people, but if they're still, like, they've got to resonate with it. It's still here. You can put it anywhere, but if it doesn't sell, okay, it's not successful. Like, we see that overexposure in marketing and in business industry all the time. You can push a product everywhere, but if it doesn't resonate with people, if people aren't actually buying it and using it, it's still a failure, right? It doesn't matter, like what's out there. Like like in my eyes, and I'm going to say a bad word on my channel, and some people in the chat are just going to groan really, really loud, and I'm going to start getting hate comments. But Oreo is definitely a company I'm thinking about that. Like everybody thinks like I'm not bashing the original Oreo. The original Oreo, it's a great product. It was original. It was unique. Great marketing. It was out there. It had a corner of the market. So why, oh why, oh why is there like every year 12 new flavors that are probably disgusting, smell like chemical explosions, taste like crap, bad marketing, bad destroying of a product, like just like you could push it out there all you want, but it's caca now. Like it's just not
Well, that's
selling.
just businesses doing what businesses
I know.
do.
And now they're in this desperate circle to try to get back to the original love of the Oreo brand and my childhood. They messed with my childhood, Ember. I'm pissed. Like I'm pissed.
No, that's fair. Paula
Yeah.
Poundstone had a problem with when they changed the Butterfinger recipe. She was like, "It's not the same. How dare!" But they just assume that the main Oreo is brand stable. Like people's love for it is never going to change one way or the other, even an iota. So why not experiment and come out with all kinds of crazy shit? Throw the paint against the canvas and see what slides off. And see what sticks.
But please don't make it another pumpkin spice something. Like, God, you know what I mean? Like it's just too much. It's just too much, you know. And you're right. Flowers. It's way too easy to get traction from just pushing social media, even if your product sucks. True.
Hit or miss.
Yeah.
I have had a great deal of difficulty, whether my products suck or not. I've had a great deal of difficulty and I got help, right? Like when I launched my first Pride flag, the thing went viral multiple times within a week. Like half the internet knew about this damn thing, and I still had trouble moving it. So maybe my product did suck, but the point is social media alone isn't enough.
It's not. And I don't think it's that the product sucks. I think it's the saturation in the market. It's like whether, you know, how many more people are doing like something similar or just like who's looking for it. Right. So please, I have your channel link below, but I didn't put the website link for the Pride flags and the individual flags. If you want to drop that link in the live chat and then I'm going to grab it, I will add it to the description because I think they should, especially when we're talking about art. We do have to mention that Ember's one of the most artistic people that I associate in this world of YouTube out here. Very creative, even in just your personal style, which I envy immensely. Like you make anything look good, like in an artistic way. But your flags too, especially that you customize flags for people to represent different issues like mental health, not just the Pride flag, and just all different issues that you're open to that. I saw you did a couple of commissions recently on that from the Facebook. So if you have access, drop your Facebook link, drop all the links. Drop the links, like any link you want, because they really should go and check it out. Yeah. And here you have a fan. I'm going to put this up for you. Petite Flower says, I absolutely love your Pride flag. It's beautiful. I'm so glad. It is. Yeah. This is I'm stealing this
story.
One.
It's part of the story, right? Because the reason it matters isn't just because of the fact it's a Pride flag or the fact it's made from real NASA images. It's that there was a version that NASA produced, and then when Trump came into office on day 1, January 20th, 2025, he deleted it. He ordered it deleted. And so this improved Pride flag, it isn't just like an upgraded version of what NASA put out back in 2024. It's a replacement for what they tried to take away from us. And it represents to erase us.
It's the response to the act of deleting it too, like, and as it should be, and it should stand for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, they've done a lot of things. You know, since he was in office, the first things that he did, everything like that you could use, our health websites for the CDC have all disappeared. You can't even contradict the information that they spit out now with their own websites. All our government websites went down that because they don't like to be fact checked. Our own, or the own government organizations that were set up previously could fact check them in seconds on the shit that we're trying to do. All of that came down immediately. Like, now things like, our regular public health sites for Social Security and Medicare and getting assistance, they're not up 24/7 like they used to be, like, or anything like that. And there's not even the free information because they don't want you to have it. And I think that resounds loudly when you have to start hiding information, when you have to start limiting access to things. Like, you're not standing on solid ground. I'll just say that. I don't want to turn this into a political stream at all. You're going to make people question where you're coming from because you're definitely not standing on solid ground. When you don't want to hear the other side of it, when you've got to start eliminating what people say, when you've got to start cataloging and putting people's names in books so that you can get back at them later because they said something you didn't like. Like, this is just not how people with a real argument or a real issue or a real stance on something act. This is the disingenuous. This is the misinformation. This is just the whole administration showing their ugly ass, to be honest, and not wanting to be contradicted for it. And it's really disheartening because it truly, to me, goes against what we stand for as Americans in general. We're not Americans are not afraid of controversy, people. Like, our country is still divided constantly on many issues all the time. It's a way of life here in America, and it's what we stand for. The ability to say that. For me to say the word black and Ember to say the word white and still have a conversation, be in the same space, both be semi-successful or not successful, and not based on who's saying white and who's saying black. Like, that's America. And this whole thing has been building for a while, and I just see like we're going backwards. We're definitely going backwards a bit. It's very disheartening. Very disheartening. I would think that Pollock would have a very angry splatter picture about this right about now.
I can't rule it out, but I do. I realized that the link didn't post because I can't actually post links.
Shoot. Wait, where's your name on here? I could fix that in a second. Hold on. I'll fix that in a second and you can do it. Hold on. Where are you? Okay, I'll give you a reach. All right.
I just typed to make it easier to find.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm like, I did type out the web address in the chat when you asked, and I only just now realized I'm not.
No, I'm sorry. My bad.
Didn't post.
That's me forgetting how YouTube works. Like, they see, I don't do lives that much. I do my regular series. I used to be, all I ever did was lives because I'm very bad at video. I'm very bad at editing. I just learned like a lot of this process over the last couple of years, like the last year or so. Thankfully to Wrecker, who kind of got me some programs, that worked the way my brain worked. I don't know how he did it, but he found them because the regular programs I just couldn't wrap my head around. So I was able to do it, but which worked because things got crazy in my life. I got sick. I had family members who were sick. I wasn't able to go live regularly, and I was only up in the middle of the night and stuff. And so video uploading was more convenient for me because I could do it at all different hours of the day and night, and then just upload it on a regular schedule. Well, but I like this. I like having this conversation. But we're like, when I'll get your links in there, and hopefully you'll come back. And
we're already in overtime, and there's so much other unrelated stuff to say.
I know there is. I was going to say, like that's what library chats is about. So pick a topic and we'll schedule something else to come and just have another hour-long talk. And that goes for anybody listening out there too. Like in the chat, you know, you don't have to be a big YouTuber. You don't even have to have your own channel. If you've got something you want to talk about, I have broken many a cherry on YouTube by just bringing you up here with an avatar or your camera and having the conversation. Yes, that's me, the YouTube cherry breaker. I'll wear that monocle.
Oh
Here we go. Yeah, absolutely. Because right, Ember, when you first came out here, like we were doing the Purple's marathon, right? That bring anybody wants to
I'm
talk
pretty
about
sure that's
anything.
how we met
Yeah.
originally. Yeah.
Yeah, we did meet on that. I've met so many people through Purple's wonderful marathons of the year. I've been doing that one since I met Purple. She had done quite a few before. So I'm not one of the originals, but I definitely think it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm really honored to be able to do that every year, and I hope it continues. I hope it really does, because we've met. How many people did you meet too? Like I've met so many people, and in different communities, not just one community, but in so many different communities, that we all have so much more in common than we do difference. And that's, you know, kind of what I like about it. And that's what I love about this series. And I hope you do come back, Ember, pick something else. And everybody check out Ember's channel below. The links are there for her website and for her channel. The website is where you can get her art in her pride flags that she's been creating. That I have to say they are beautiful. And anything else that she's got going on artistically, I should say, as one of the very most creative people out here on YouTube I've met lately. So I'll give you that one, Ember. I do think they're beautiful. They are beautiful, and everybody should go check them out. So I'm gonna let you go because I know you've got a really busy day ahead traveling.
Well, yeah, it's mostly travel. It's such a weird thing. Like, because we do avatars, I don't necessarily have to be in front of a camera. I could have been driving this whole time, but the internet gets unreliable when you're on cellular.
It does, but that's the beauty of the avatars, and one of the reasons I started the channel with avatars. I'm not as strict about, like, I let anybody use a camera if they want to or not. But the whole purpose, the channel originally was called Avatars Live, because I wanted it focused on what we were saying and not what we all looked like, and not what where we were at or what we were doing. I really wanted it focused on the conversations, like, and make people actually listen, and it works. Almost everything I do on my channel is based on it, and I'll probably always be an avatar because of it. Because now I'm branded. It's just that cat-eared, silly avatar, you know. But I will probably stay that way forever because it kind of took off. And everybody told me it wouldn't be successful, and I just go like, "Thanks, haters. Like, love you, yeah." Because
you like Jackson Pollocked them.
You Jackson Pollock, yeah, they Jackson Pollock me for sure into where I am now. So thank you very much.
Yeah, they were like, you can't do that. You have to be in a fabulous outfit and have your makeup like done by professionals and have wedding day hair, and the lights have to be Hollywood perfect and an 8K camera with a fiber optic connection, like all of these things. No,
you don't. No, you don't. You just have to have something to say and people that are willing to listen or be part of the conversation. And that's it. You just have to have conversations that people want to hear or be a part of, you know, and just like, you know, a little bit of no fear. Like, I'm just a woman with the nickname Bear and a microphone. I tell people that every time. That's it. That's it. That's all there is to it. They even try to troll me, saying that now, like, at every milestone of subscribers that I met, that I have to do a great big face reveal. I'm like, nice try. Nice try, people. Never going to happen. I don't care if I get 1 million subscribers. And never doing it. It's not going to be the gimmick. It's not. Like, nope. That's it.
Yeah, it is a nice try, though. I've had people manage to persuade me to do some very silly things at milestones, and I'm not even. I'm on like 2%. You keep growing so damn fast. Like
Ember,
your last library or your last 48 laws. Right. It was 117, and here we are like 4 days later, and you're at 118. Like, What the hell?
Someone told me, I think it was Godless Granny told me when I hit 5,000 that after that, it just starts taking off. Like you have no control of it. And she's right. She's absolutely right. And it really took off because I did like 3 trials at the same time, covering 3 trials that were pretty popular all at the same time. Drove myself to the mat, like on that one, and it got a lot of exposure. You know, YouTube helps me a lot. They think I'm translatable. So things that are under, like, not my long lives, like the 2-hour lives, but anything that's like an hour, 15, 20, gets translated into 21 or 22 different languages. And that helps a lot. Like, because it's not just an American audience anymore. It's like an international audience. So, you know, I'm grateful, but I have to say the pressure is there now. I don't know where all these people came from. I just hope they're happy with what we're doing. But just like always, I'm just going to do whatever floats my boat for the day. I'm going to cover true crime cases that only I'm interested in. I don't care if they're popular or they're not popular. I'm still going to do, you know, reading out louds because that's my passion. I'm going to cover every episode of Black Mirror as long as it exists. Come on, Brooker, get that other episode out here. I can't wait. I can't wait to do that again, even though that gets only 100 views. I've got videos out here, Ember, don't be discouraged, that have only 25 views or 100 views. And just last year, I was in like 18 months ago, I was probably just stuck at over 1,000, maybe 2,000 views. So when it happens, it happens. And there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Just do what you love. Be out here as long as it's making you happy and you're doing your hobby, your passion. You know, I think people resonate with genuine more so than trends. Like that's what makes it stability. I mean, that 118 that you're looking at now, that could disappear tomorrow. Like it might even disappear after this episode on Pollock. We could have a whole movement that people will think that I didn't do Pollock justice and I could get canceled.
People mass unsubscribe. You didn't even mention the Navajos and oh
yes.
There's so much more stuff.
Yes.
Like
yes.
The reason I mentioned Picasso earlier is because not only did Picasso like kind of change the game for surrealism, and to be clear, Picasso didn't only produce Picassos. He could paint like a Dutch master. He spent far more years painting regular, amazing portraits than he ever did the Cubist stuff. But he's remembered for the Cubist stuff because it's different, because it's controversial, because it's weird. Pollock saw that, and he was like, aha, Picasso is a 5-star master artist every day of the week, no question. But it's his controversial stuff that became famous. Nobody even knows about the stuff that looks like a Rembrandt. So Pollock was aware of that, and he was like, what else can we do? How far can we take this?
True. No, there's just so much. Well, we're going to have to cut these soon because I know. Please come back. Everybody, check out her channel. Check out the website for the great art. And this is I have to put this up here. Oh gosh, where am I? I'm just jumping too much here. Purple Dragon. I already see your face on your profile and video pics. Yeah, but that's AI art. Everybody knows that's AI art. That's not really me. It's a good.
Is it? I just kind of assumed that it was either you or an artist friend like did a scribble.
It's a rendition, but it's like there are definitely things, but it's not necessarily me. People who have seen my face could say that it's close, but it's not. I would never say it is. Definitely. No, it's definitely AI. And I'm sorry if anybody thought that was actually me on my new true crime videos. That is actually just an AI rendition, because the cartoon character was getting a little stale for some of the modern trials. That's all. But I might just go back to it. But anyway, and now Purple says 50 months. 50 months? Purple is one of my original subscribers and original moderators. And oh my gosh, a game night? Yes, we'll schedule that in the Discord for you there, purple. That's probably a really good eye.
years.
Yeah.
That is 4.5 years. Is my math broken? My math may be broken.
Mhm.
It's better.
Yep.
It's a lot of months. That's nuts.
Okay, Wrecker is unsubbing because we didn't mention Jackson Pollock's #1. Like, he's out of here. Okay, Rec. Sorry.
Is
Like,
there a
yeah.
number one? Like, I mean,
don't
in
know.
theory, since they're numbered. But here's the thing: they're not numbered in order, right? Like number 11 was produced before number 9A. You know,
They are. That's another thing. Like, there's no order to any of it. Like, there's not. It's just the casual. I think he's trolling like a lot. Like, that just proves to me the trolling aspect of his art sometimes, you know. Like, they don't go in order. It's just, that might even, like, we could expand a whole nother conversation on whether he meant that to be a commentary on the industry itself, on the art world itself, the way he did that. Like,
okay, so
it could be. He could be.
He's a dirty bastard.
He could
So
be. He could be just, you know, having a good big yokel at us, you know, about it. Yeah. Mm. He could be making
So
fun.
there's 3 number ones. There's number 1A from 1948. There's number 1 from 1949, and there's number 1 1950 from 1950.
Okay,
So I guess
go.
maybe the reason the numbers look weird is because he numbered them within each year. Like, this is number 1 from 1949. This is number 1 from 1950. And only a certain percentage of them actually made it into the galleries and whatnot. And so we'll have number 9 from 1949. And then the next painting that actually makes it into the zeitgeist is number 3 from 1952 or whatever.
Okay, so here we go. So he actually numbers his pictures yearly. Like, he has a set amount that he puts out in there. No, I know. But actually, you saved my sub. Record, you cannot unsub now, because not only did she mention number 1, she mentioned all 3 of them. You didn't call, like, you got to sub twice now. You got to sub twice. Like, yeah. I'm gonna make you join the Patreon now after that, because you
press the sub button twice.
Yes, you're gonna have to sub twice, and you're gonna have to join the Patreon. We're gonna have to make you pay for that. Like, for threatening me in public, you're gonna have to pay now. This for sure. But thanks for that, Ember. And thank you for coming for this conversation. Like, last minute, you're welcome anytime. You know, definitely anything you want to talk about. Library Chats is here for you, or any of the other crazy stuff. You know. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, you know me. There's always so much more. But first, I have to survive a travel.
Well, I wish you well. Travel safe. Be safe. Have a great time. And we'll talk about something else when you get back. And I hope you have a great time at your convention. And for all of you in chat, thank you so much for joining us. I know it was an odd time. It was very nice to see some faces I don't get to see regularly, because I'm usually in the middle of the night, or I've been doing a lot of videos. So if I didn't get to mention your name, but thank you, Turtle. I see you. It's so great to see you again, Stephen. Thank you for showing up. Welcome, Petite Flower, and, you know, Grace and Shill and the rest of my mods, Jean, and especially thank you, Ember, for taking the time today. I had fun. I hope you did too. And I hope everybody listening after, meet us in the comments. You know, meet us in the comments. You know, we'll both respond somehow, some way, even just liking it. But we want to hear what you have to say about it, because that's the point, right? Keep the conversation.
Tell us your favorite Pollock and why. That's the key point. The
why.
The
why. Oh, now you're making a work. The Ember's giving you a homework now. Oh, it was her, not me. I didn't do it. It's like you, but meet us in the comments and we'll all talk later. You know, on that, I'm going to push the button. Any last words, Ember?
Try not to die.
This is true. This is true. Please. Oh, all right. Talk to you all later. Bye.
Doodle.